Well, hello, everyone, and welcome here to FNL Gridiron. Nick Anastas along with Steve Beals, getting set for week number 2 statewide as we continue to move forward here in the 2025 campaign. We will touch base with 3 different interviews here over the next 60 minutes or so. We'll welcome Tom King back into the fold. Tom, of course, longtime writer with the Nashua Telegraph and longtime broadcaster with ETV. That helps us to preview this weekend's game of the week, which comes your way tomorrow night, Friday night. A little bit early, 6:30 is the opening kick from Stello Stadium. The Bedford Bulldogs taking on the Nashua South Purple Panthers. Both teams off to a 1-0 start. Both teams are expected to compete for a Division I championship, and we will speak to both head coaches coming up later in the program. Tom King on deck first in about 10 or 15 minutes from now. Want to welcome in my partner, Steve Beals. Steve, another week in the books, another season underway. We had a blowout last week to kick off the season. Portsmouth with a 35-0 shutout win over Dover. That broadcast is up on our YouTube channel. But, Portsmouth looks strong, but we've got, I think, a close game, Steve, in the cards coming up this weekend between Nashua South and Bedford.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get the real stratification that we're all looking for. We can really appreciate this show as far as, kind of get an idea where these teams are at. But it is clear that I watched about half of the South. I found it online. The South Malden Catholic. South is clearly for real. You don't handle Malden Catholic like they did without being a solid football team. Malden Catholic known throughout the years as a really big player in Massachusetts football. And once again, Nick, a New Hampshire team goes down into the heart of Massachusetts quality football programs and does us, the whole state, proud. And as we were talking to Roger last night, I can't say enough about the way South looked. This is going to be a matchup. Onto the Bedford end of things, Brody Helton was able to watch the Merrimack game. Brody Helton doing more of the same thing we saw in the Jamboree, Nick. This guy is special. He is defining himself in the league as the state's best, in my opinion, at this current time. We'll see what happens throughout the year, but he certainly couldn't be argued to be, a long tied, at worst case scenario, tied as the top running back in the league. I think he's the best. This guy is faster. He's stronger. Hit the routes that he's running, the vision that he has is phenomenal. And then what you got to also contend with? Bennett Matthews, who we know as an athlete, his ability to move inside and out of the pocket, Nick, was incredible in that game. The coordination this man has is phenomenal. That is a dynamic duo that is right up there at the top of the league, Nick. Can't wait to get analysis from Tom King. Tom always gives us, Nick, especially in the beginning of the year. He knows these teams, Cole. Looking forward to have a communication with him. And last point, absolutely, Portsmouth is a strong football team. They took it to Dover. Dover's got potential. Make no mistake about it. Dover's got some potential, but they've got some work to do. They don't look even early. They look like it looks like Portsmouth, I should say. It's mid-season form. We're going to see this week how Portsmouth does, but they look very, very strong, very balanced. Looks like Coach Pafford's got his team right where he wants them in the beginning of the season. That was a big win divisionally for them last Friday night. Check it out on our YouTube channel. If you want to see a good football team, you're going to look at Portsmouth. That defense was swarming. But again, Pinkerton, Londonderry looks strong, unbelievable against Wyndham and Alverin. Other programs doing well as well, but those are the standouts to me so far from what I've seen. I'm sure there are others going to be coming along. But Bedford and South looks like a match and a half. I expect that place to be jammed and wild Friday night, tomorrow night, Nick, when we're at the game.
Yeah, we expect a lot of points as well. Two high-powered offenses colliding. 6:30, the kickoff tomorrow. We'll be on the air at about 6:15 or so. There's expected to be a large media presence, so seating is at a premium at South Stadium. But we will be there. We will be ready to rock and roll. You mentioned it. Nashua South, they went south of the border. They beat Malden Catholic last week.
Unbelievable.
To improve to 1-0. Overall, their first in-state competition is Bedford in week number 2. The Bulldogs kicked off the season last week with a 4-touchdown win, putting up 48 in the process, a victory over Merrimack. This week's schedule, let's start with Merrimack. Coach Kip Jackson hoping his Tomahawks can bounce back. They are also at Stello Stadium. That's a Saturday game. Merrimack at BG is a 6 o'clock kick there. The Cardinals will look to make it 2-0. You mentioned earlier, Steve, Portsmouth. They have another home game in the cards, taking on Exeter. That's a 7 o'clock start, another division game for the Clippers. The Blue Hawks, meanwhile, had to do it from behind. They did rally to beat Timberlane last week to open the season with a victory. Speaking of Timberlane, the Owls, they will host Winnicott. That's also a Division I East game. That
Good
is
stuff.
also a Friday night kick. Absolutely. Some juicy Week 2 matchups here. We have Alvern at Salem. Broncos trying to rebound after a defeat against Londonderry. Salem, they were the comeback kids with a win over Concord as well. Blue Devils hoping to go 2-0 with a win on their home turf. That's a 7 o'clock kick. Pinkerton also hoping to stay unbeaten. They will host Manchester Central. Little Green look to rebound after an opening night loss against Nashua North. Concord is at Londonderry. Concord, Steve, they were very competitive against Salem, hoping to hang around against Londonderry as well. Manchester Memorial, they got an out-of-state win down in Rhode Island over Central Providence. They hope to go 2-0 on the road at Dover, the opponent there. And finally, Steve, we have North and Goffstown. Titans can be 2-0 for the first time in a while with a win. Well, Goffstown, after dropping one to Keene, will open up the home portion of their schedule. And speaking of Keene, final D1 matchup, they will host Spalding. That's a long drive.
Wow.
Blackbirds going from Keene to Spalding, opposite ends of the state. Blackbirds hoping to go 2-0, while Spalding is looking for their first win. Steve, what matchup jumps out there? We've got about 5 or 6 minutes until we welcome in Tom King.
Sure. I would start by saying Spalding may want to get a hotel and book the whole place. So that is a ride. Either that, they're going to have to be out of school at lunchtime to make that.
That's Keene going to Spalding, Steve.
Oh, okay. Well, Rochester's got nice hotels too, so Keene may want to go over there and do the same. My guess is they'll be leaving, Nick, really early. That is, it's got to be a 2.5-hour ride, right? I mean, when you think about it. And you're going to be going across. You got to avoid rush hour as well. That'll be a long, long trip. Shows you how wide the state is at the bottom, and they're gonna run the gamut there. That'll be an interesting matchup. But the matchup that I'm looking at, Nick, is far and away Bedford South. That the game we're doing, I'm not just promoting. That game is really going to define who's where with the Titans at the league. I also want to see if Alvern's going to. Justin Huff just took over this program. Justin Huff has been known in every single year to progress well throughout the year and find the tools that he needs in the right places. My guess against Londonderry, he ran into a little bit of that. Maybe not quite ready yet, but I want to see where that team goes. They're in good hands with a coach like Justin Huff. I'm very high on that guy. The Concord game, Nick, what was the score of that Concord game with Londonderry? You don't know. Okay. I know it was not Londonderry. Who was taking on Concord? Concord Salem. Steve, I wanted to find out where Salem is. That's a good win for them. We're going to find out how good Timberlane is, Nick, and Exeter. Exeter going into Portsmouth. I mean, that game, I watched the whole game of Exeter and Timberlane, and it's a really hard, when you look at the competition, look like two good football teams, but it's really hard to see how good they are because Timberlane really performed in that game really well. It was 4 minutes left when they went down the lane and scored. Exeter, that means, goes down and score in the last minute to take the game, and give Exeter credit. They had a nice drive going down to score, and they just never could get back. But both of those teams are going to be solid as it goes in. So we're going to find out a lot with Exeter going into Portsmouth. We're going to get some delineation there and find out how good both of those teams are at the early stage of the season. So I would say the games I'm most excited about is Bedford, Portsmouth, and I'm really looking forward to see what happens with Bedford South, and really see how good Portsmouth and Exeter are after last week. Those are the two games I'm watching really closely.
Yeah, you mentioned the Salem-Concord Week 1 matchup. That was a 21-14 victory for Salem.
That's a good victory for them.
Yeah, the Blue Devils hoping to get it done on their home turf this time against Albert. All right, when we come back, Tom King, live from the Tom Pound. Next,
Really?
you are watching FNL Gridiron. It's right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. We're presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Maybe it's leaning too close to your home. Maybe it's not healthy. Or maybe you just don't like it there. No matter what the reason is, if you need tree work or pruning, call Accurate Tree Service. They have the right equipment and expertise to properly diagnose, treat, or remove trees, no matter how difficult the terrain. Perhaps simple, careful pruning by our certified arborist is all you need to manage your trees and shrubs. When it comes to your tree care, contact the full-service tree care experts today, Accurate Tree Service, because you only get one chance to take a tree down right.
Are you a quarterback who is ready to take your game to the next level? Well, then it's time to join TKQB Academy. Founded by former UNH standout Trevor Knight, TKQB Academy has worked with student athletes from around New England, helping young quarterbacks to reach their full potential. TKQB Academy offers one-on-one and group sessions that will help you instantly improve your accuracy, timing, mechanics, and footwork. So be the best QB you can be at TKQB Academy. Call 603-732-7194 or reach out on Instagram at TKQBA. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here inside of FNL Gridiron, it's Nick Anastas and Steve Beals. We are live every Thursday at 5:30. Tomorrow, week 2, and we are back with another game of the week. Bedford at Nashua South. This one highly anticipated. Two of the best teams, two of the best programs, duking it out in an early big Division I matchup. That's a D1 West conference battle tomorrow night at 6:30. We'll preview the game with Nashua South head coach Josh Porter. Still kind of weird saying that, Coach Knight. A well-deserved retirement after 2 decades on the job. Hands things over to Coach Porter, and he's going to join us for the first time coming up in about 15 minutes. Then at 6:15, Zack Matthews, championship-winning head coach with the Bedford Bulldogs, will join us live here on FNL Gridiron. Let's bring him in. Our first guest, Tom King. Long time.
He's teasing me already.
With the Nashua Telegraph, and of course, longtime broadcaster as well with ETV. Tom, live from the Tom Pound. How are you?
How are you guys? This blue area behind me is a Steve Beals free zone. So
I'm down.
it's got another.
I'm down 15 pounds, so the amount of water per dive will go down. So I'll probably have to go in a little longer.
All right. Well, it's got about a week to go. So
it's great to see you, Tom.
Good to see you guys. You picked a good one. This is going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a great game to start. I think that one of the things when I talked to Josh Porter before the season, what he told me was that last year they had blown everybody away until they got to Bedford, and they almost had it too easy. and weren't able to adjust to what they were facing with Bedford. This year, he's glad that they opened up against Malden Catholic, fell behind 7-0.
Yep.
And then took the game over. But he wanted some competition. And he's glad that he's got Bedford and Malden Catholic to open the season with, because now he's got the competition to start the year, and they'll know more about what they need to do, how they need to adjust, all of that. And I thought that was an interesting take, because if you notice, after that Bedford game, they weren't the same team last year. They couldn't stop the run. And, even Goffstown came to when they played at Sauhegan and basically ran the ball down their throats. And so did Londonderry, for that matter, in the playoffs. So, this should be a good game. I don't know. I think we're going to know a little bit more about each team because it's such a tough game early on in the season, great competition. But the question is, okay, whoever wins or whoever loses it, what adjustments will they make over the next 6, 7, 8 weeks? And that's the big takeaway from this game.
I would agree.
Yeah. Tom, looking at these two teams on paper, they match up well, as we know, but what areas do you see that one team gets an advantage versus the other? What could be the game plan, so to speak, for these two teams going into tomorrow night? Where can they excel? What areas of the field should we watch for?
Well, I think for Bedford and Sal, the way they match up, you go back to a little bit to last year, Brody Helton, right? I mean, this is a kid who is, probably the best running back in the state. South's got good backs. They've got guys like Colvin Levesque. They've got Sam Levine, who's a very good back. But if you really look at it, their best runner is their quarterback, Cody Jackson. He's the one who they rely on to break big plays. They don't have a Brody Helton. And the question is, and it's no offense to the guys they do have, because they are good backs, but Helton is in a rarefied air. And the question is, does South have the defense to be able to stop Helton this time? Because they didn't last year until later in the game when things were already decided, if I remember right. But they were, it was a shock to their system. So I think that Helton is the key. Look at his numbers after the game, and you may be able to tell whether Bedford won the game or not.
Good point. Steve?
Coach, thank you, Nick. Coach, great to see you, Tom, as always. And thanks for giving us that beautiful view in the background, as always. And if it's open, if it open, it still means it's summer in my mind. When Tom Pound closes, winter's among us. Having said that, I think you just nailed the game. I think you nailed the strategy of both teams, Nick. But Tom, but before that, I wanted to ask you about Coach Porter. I watched that game down at Malden Catholic, and that's a good Malden Catholic team. I mean, they're good every year. Right. They're deep. They got numbers and everything else. What amazed me was how well that defense, what I was looking for is exactly what you said. Can that defense swarm? Does it have speed? And are they going to come up? Are they tough? And they passed with flying colors. To me, Nick, Tom, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Nick on the left, reading left to right. To me,
I look a lot like Nick anyway, so that's
no. You guys have your own charms. There's no doubt about that. But that defense, to your point, looked tough enough, at least as far as coming up and taking on and cutting down the lanes. They look solid. Their defensive line looked solid. And I didn't see the depth problem that sometimes South would have, not year in, year out, but there are some years I look back where they had some real depth problems. Good starting lineup, but as soon as they had to rest them, a lot of guys going both ways. I don't know if I didn't see as much of that this game, and I thought that the job that Coach Porter did was amazing to me for a guy that's just taken over. Your thoughts on him as a coach, and your thoughts on what I said about the defense. Do you agree with that, or am I missing something?
Well, I haven't seen you got an advantage on me, Steve, because I haven't seen the play. But I talked to Josh about the run factor and how they were weak against the run last year. And he said that one of the reasons why is they wanted teams to run the ball against them so they'd have a bend, not break defense, because their secondary is so good. They expected teams to try to do that. And that's how they wanted the game to flow a little bit. They wanted to tire out the other offenses. It backfired. Mm-hmm. So this year, I think that they are looking at more of a run stop type defense, but I haven't seen them yet. So I think they're always going to be based on speed, but they had a very, very good offseason in the weight room. Very good offseason. This is a group of kids that is just they're on a mission, and they did that all in the offseason to work at it. Now, and I'll tell you how I know that. And this will be a cheap plug. I did a very long, in-depth feature on Cody Jackson that is going to kick in after midnight tonight online, and it will be in print starting tomorrow. Should be on newsstands later in the day tomorrow and all weekend long. And Jackson was one of several athletes who, after they had their practices with other sports, winter and spring, they went right to the weight room for football.
Yeah.
So, that says a lot to me that this team has got, this is a group that has played together now for a long time. 4 years.
4,
wow,
but I mean,
some of them 4.
Yeah,
they were starting kids as freshmen 3 years ago.
That's true.
This is a group that's been together a long time, and Jackson says that makes him feel even more comfortable than he did last year at quarterback.
Yeah.
And he knew the kids last year too. Yeah. So to me, that's the big deal. Porter, in dealing with him and the way he's organized and the way he knows everything about these kids, there's a reason why Scott Knight left this year. The trend for coaches now, you saying, well, why did he walk away from a chance to win a championship? Mm-hmm. Because he wanted to lead. If a coach these days in high school has almost a hand-picked successor that he hopes can get through the process and get nominated, if he's got someone like that, they don't want to leave the cupboard bare for that person. Mm-hmm. And Scott Knight had Josh Porter picked out a long time ago. He's been on the staff 5 or 6 years. He had him picked out, and that's why Scott Knight left now. So he would give Josh Porter a team to win with.
That's a big person.
So that's how much Knight thought of. That's how much Knight thought of Porter. And I mean, I've dealt with him now. I've gotten to know him a little bit. I've dealt with him over the course of a few weeks when the season started. And I dealt with him in a little bit the off season. The guy's a great guy. He knows the deal, and he's around the building during the day. He works for a financial company that he's assigned to Nashville South, and that he teaches the kids finances, how to pay. How to use credit cards, all those things, everything else. So he knows all the kids. Mm-hmm. So this was a perfect choice in my mind, and he's got things going the way he wants them.
Want to take turns, Nick? Go ahead.
We got about 2 minutes here, Steve. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's talk about Bedford for a second, Tom. One of the things that has been really amazing is that Coach Matthews could have very easily put his son in. Anybody would have justified it, arguably, in the sophomore year. He's such an incredible athlete. But he didn't do that. And he gave the guys that had earned their senior leadership.
Yes.
And I think he put Bennett in a tremendously good situation where no one's arguing who's going to be at the helm this year.
Right.
And I just think that was masterfully done. That's a hard thing to do. And I think Coach Matthews has shown class, restraint, and good timing for what he's doing. In the Jamboree, did you see? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I didn't go to the. My feeling on the Jamboree? I don't really look at it as much.
Well, you can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube.
Oh, I know it. I think a lot of teams hide stuff.
Yeah, well,
right.
That's true.
And I don't. every year I say, well, they look good in the Jamboree, and then they're terrible in the regular season too.
Yeah,
The flip
but it's a great time to do an analysis on quarterbacks because they put their quarterbacks out there and they're not like trying to, and what I saw from Matthews was movement in and out of the pocket. This guy is an athlete, whether he's driving forward, whether he's stepping back, or he's got lateral movement. And when you pack that in conjunction with the running capability and the vision and the cut-up capability, and now he always was fast, but Brody Helton is rocket fast now. I mean, he can see it ahead of time. From what you've seen or what you know, how do you stop that? I mean, you're a football guy. What would you be doing with your personnel if you were Coach Porter? Honestly, Tom, to try to stop this duo, what would you do?
Well, their secondary is very good. They had the best. Mm-hmm. South has had the best secondary. Even when they weren't winning, their secondary was pretty good. Fair enough. That's the what you talked about with Coach Matthews. He had 3 key words in his philosophy: wait your turn. And that's what he's done with his quarterbacks, because when he talked to him last year, his quarterback, he said he waited his turn. And the same with Bennett. Now, all the coaches I've talked to feel that Bennett Matthews is the best quarterback in the state and think that he is the guy. So, the only thing you do is try to make him feel uncomfortable. Disguise your coverages. Your linebackers are going to be key. They have to be able to cover players in space and tackle. And I think that's the thing you need to do. Yeah. The only other question is, can you get to Matthews? Can you make him feel uncomfortable that way? Can you blitz? You do things like that. Anything you can try to do to make a quarterback feel uncomfortable takes about 25% away from their ability in a game. And that applies to college, high school, and even the pros.
Especially high school.
Yeah, especially. But I think Bennett Matthews is such a good athlete that he'll be able to adjust quickly. It's just a matter of how quickly. But your secondary is key. Your secondary has got to cover. But your linebackers have to be able to grab players in space. And that includes Brody Helton when he's set free.
You're going to be there tomorrow night, Tom? You're going to be there as well?
I will be there. We're going to be broadcasting on national ETV. Yep. So I will be down on the field for a little bit to get some photos, and I'll be up in the broadcast booth.
All right, let's go in on pizza. Let's go in on pizza together.
I think Nick got a buy.
I was just about to volunteer, Tom. Thank you for
I know it. I know it. I know it.
John, enjoy the weather while it lasts, Tom, because I have a feeling that may be buttoned up in the background the next time we talk.
All right, Tom. Hold on. I'm not going to let this off the hook. Tom King, give us a rough prediction of what you think is going to happen at the end of tomorrow night. Going to put you right on there.
I think I forget what the score was that I had in the paper, and I picked Bedford to win it, but in a close game, like 24-18 or 24-20, something like that. It may be higher. It may be a higher score, maybe a lot of points. It might be 35-31, something like that. But I think Bedford, I just think that Bennett Matthews and Helton are 2 guys that are really tough to try to stop. But South will close that gap from last year, and then they'll work on the rest of the season, closing 100%. That gap the rest of the way.
100%. I agree with you. Not only do I think they'll close the gap, I see Bedford, the capability of Bedford, even with a home cooking in Nashua, I see the possibility of Bedford getting up early in a semi-comfortable league, but I don't see South backing down. I love their attitude. I love the play that I saw. And I think at the end of the game, this thing could turn into a barn burner at the end of the game.
It really could.
It really could, with South coming on strong. And it's just going to be who's going to make the finish line. That's it.
Just don't turn the ball over, and don't underestimate the breakaway ability of Cody Jackson, because if he turns that corner and gets ahead of steam with all the speed work he's done over the last couple of years, he's gone. He's off to the races.
I got to go with Bedford as well. but I'm not going to be the least bit surprised. It is razor thin margin. I just think to go down to Malden Catholic and perform to that level that they did says volumes about this football team.
This is a good football team. If they don't match and go beyond, if they don't go beyond what they did last year, then with the talent they've got, then it's not. It's a lost season for them in their program. I'm sure that they'll look and they'll be the first to tell you that.
Nick, we have 15 seconds for Tom's analysis on BG. 15 seconds.
We don't. We don't, okay. Steve. We're 5 minutes behind as it is.
All right, we'll talk at halftime. We'll talk at halftime for pizza.
And we'll see you tomorrow night, Tom. We appreciate the time.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, brother.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
For the Nashua Telegraph, longtime broadcaster for ETV. On the other side, first-year Purple Panther head coach Josh Porter joins us live from Nashua South. Coming up next, you are watching FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Maybe it's leaning too close to your home. Maybe it's not healthy. Or maybe you just don't like it there. No matter what the reason is, if you need tree work or pruning, call Accurate Tree Service. They have the right equipment and expertise to properly diagnose, treat, or remove trees, no matter how difficult the terrain. Perhaps simple, careful pruning by our certified arborist is all you need to manage your trees and shrubs. When it comes to your tree care, contact the full-service tree care experts today, Accurate Tree Service, because you only get one chance to take a tree down right.
Are you a quarterback who is ready to take your game to the next level? Well, then it's time to join TKQB Academy. Founded by former UNH standout Trevor Knight, TKQB Academy has worked with student athletes from around New England, helping young quarterbacks to reach their full potential. TKQB Academy offers one-on-one and group sessions that will help you instantly improve your accuracy, timing, mechanics, and footwork. So be the best QB you can be at TKQB Academy. Call 603-732-7194 or reach out on Instagram at TKQBA. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here on FNL Gridiron, presented by Beals Insurance. Nick Anastas, along with Steve Beals. We thank Tom King for joining us. Bedford head coach Zack Matthews coming up in a few minutes. And Coach Josh Porter, first-year head coach of Nashua South, set to join us any moment now. We're trying to get him connected backstage. Your thoughts, Steve, to what we just heard from Tom King? Not a whole lot of new information there. Did highlight some of the things that you had pointed out on last week's show, that perhaps it's Brody Helton, Bedford's senior running back, that may be the X factor in this game either way.
Absolutely, and South's ability to be able to get him at the line of scrimmage before he's able to get that plant foot. They've got to get pressure on Brody as much as they got to get pressure on. If they have a great defensive backfield, which they got some great players coming back, and there's no question they're good. If they can get a good pass rush but at the same time control Brody Hell. I mean, that just think about that. How do you do that? I don't know. But you're not going to stop him completely. It's, does he run 240, 210, 180 yards, or do you keep him at 105, 87, 84 because he got some good couple of 20, 30-yard runs, and then you cut him down the rest of the game? That is a tall order. I haven't seen anybody been able to do that yet. But if there's a team that can do it at this stage of the game, you got to look at South and a couple other teams that have that defensive potential. Cody Jackson, huge. This is an opportunity for Cody Jackson to go across to work his offense against and across the field against another high quality quarterback. This is where quarterbacks kind of the occasion. They play a tight game. They don't lose their cool. To Tom's point, they don't turn the ball over. That's going to be a key. This is a big game for Cody Jackson to show what level he's at. He really impressed me. We saw him down at BG at Sauhegan last year against BG, and he was tremendous in that. He's something else. Great speed and a great runner. He's going to have to show up tomorrow, and his offensive line is going to have both offensive lines going to have a lot of pressure on him tomorrow. I didn't bring it up because I bring it up every single week, Nick. But offensive line work is going to be key tomorrow as well. So I mean, these teams are just loaded with talent. They've got solid people at every position. You're going to see high-quality football game, and I'm going to brag one more time. And Coach Porter should be extremely proud, as well as all of his athletes, parents, and the whole school and the whole area of Nashua South District should be very proud to go down to Massachusetts, Malden Catholic, and beat Malden Catholic. These are big things. This is really elevating the exposure that the whole Division I and Division II programs and Division III and IV as well, the athletes that we put out in the field can compete at a very high level. So I'm very excited.
As well, in that Week 1 victory over Malden Catholic, fell behind 7-0, but were able to come back and explode really the rest of the way to open up at 1-0. Bedford put up 48 points in a victory over next-door neighbor Merrimack. 48-20 was the final there. So we may see a shootout in the 30s, as predicted there moments ago from ETV's Tom King. Again, we're on the air tomorrow night at about 6:15 with our pregame coverage, and then kickoff a little earlier than last week, 6:30 is the live kick down at Stello Stadium. Again, we'll be broadcasting in conjunction with Nesson Nation as well. For those in our audience who want to check it out that way, their new app, their new streaming service is Nesson Nation, and we are slated once again in Week 2 to appear there at 6:30. Big media presence, as we mentioned, and we expect a big crowd, period, tomorrow at Stello Stadium. Steve, kind of rare this early in the season we get a game that is this hyped and likely well attended tomorrow night. Does that factor in at all with some of these younger, maybe more inexperienced players for both teams?
Clearly. You talking about top-end JV players?
Sure, and having to adapt to maybe more eyeballs on them than usual or what they're used to.
Well, I mean, you got a college-sized stadium. You got a big environment. That place is going to be loaded, packed, and rocking. There's no doubt about that. The lights are going to go on. And a lot of these kids are going to have an opportunity to play on from a high school standpoint, a pretty big stage. That's going to benefit them as they go throughout the year. If they wind up, which I expect both of these teams to be deep playoff style teams, that's going to help these young players get an early dose. And you're much better off of getting that experience early and then going through the journey through a season and become a little seasoned, get a little callous over all the, hyped up games, not getting too overheated, but yet being very, very mission oriented. I think it's a huge advantage for these young players, to your point, Nick, getting this kind of a game. And you're going to have an opportunity for the leadership of these teams on the other end, Nick, the leaders of these teams, these veterans that have come back to take the helm here, the leadership, and set the culture of the team. These young players are going to see that in action. And they're going to, and the players, these younger players are going to get a good opportunity to see what leadership and what being a veteran is all about. So that's really important to the coaching staff and the program success from year in, year out.
That was an interesting point Tom brought up about Nashua South's schedule as well, where they ran the gauntlet for the first 5 or 6 weeks last year, caught that kind of confidence-shaking loss, and weren't quite ready to recover this way, with South taking on Malden Catholic and Bedford at the top of the ticket. Good to get those early challenges perhaps out of the way so you have time to recover moving forward. I thought that was an interesting point. All right.
And the implications, Nick, I'm sorry, the implications of this game later in the season could come back and be really, really important. There's a lot to play for tomorrow night, not just the matchup, but to get a home field advantage.
Right. A conference game as well, a little bit of extra on the table in that regard. Unfortunately, it does not look like we will be able to talk with Nashua South head coach Josh Porter. Unfortunately, we're going to have to reschedule with the first-year skipper, but we will get him back on at some point. However, Zack Matthews is geared up, is ready to go, and will join us on the other side of the break. You are watching FNL Gridiron. It's right here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire, and we're presented by Beals Insurance.
Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com.
Maybe it's leaning too close to your home. Maybe it's not healthy. Or maybe you just don't like it there. No matter what the reason is, if you need tree work or pruning, call Accurate Tree Service. They have the right equipment and expertise to properly diagnose, treat, or remove trees, no matter how difficult the terrain. Perhaps simple, careful pruning by our certified arborist is all you need to manage your trees and shrubs. When it comes to your tree care, contact the full-service tree care experts today, Accurate Tree Service, because you only get one chance to take a tree down right.
Are you a quarterback who is ready to take your game to the next level? Well, then it's time to join TKQB Academy. Founded by former UNH standout Trevor Knight, TKQB Academy has worked with student athletes from around New England, helping young quarterbacks to reach their full potential. TKQB Academy offers one-on-one and group sessions that will help you instantly improve your accuracy, timing, mechanics, and footwork. So be the best QB you can be at TKQB Academy. Call 603-732-7194 or reach out on Instagram at TKQBA. How can you reach your team's fundraising goals at no risk and no cost? MG Sports offers a variety of products to make your team's fundraiser a success. Their products include discount tickets, cards, and calendar raffles to hundreds of local merchants throughout the New England area. Don't waste another season. Raise more funds than ever before and become another football program in New Hampshire that sets fundraising records every season. MG Sports, fundraising made easy. Visit mgsportsfundraising.com to start raising money for your team today.
Back here on FNL Gridiron, Nick Anastas, Steve Beals with you, getting set for week number 2 statewide. We're presented tonight by Beals Insurance. Of course, we're on the air tomorrow at about 6:15 live from Stello Stadium in the Gate City as Bedford takes on Nashua South. Huge week 2 matchup in Division I West. Bulldogs and Purple Panthers tomorrow night beginning at 6:15. We thank Tom King for joining us. We will reschedule with Coach Porter of Nashua South. He has agreed to jump on somewhere down the road. So we look forward to chatting there with the new South head coach. Now joining us, our final guest tonight, Zack Matthews, the Bedford Bulldog head coach and an old friend of the program, joining us live from, it looks like, the locker room here on FNL Gridiron. Coach, good evening. How are you?
Doing well. Good to see you guys. It seems like we were
Good to see
just
you.
here not so long ago. So we're back at it again, ready to do this another year.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us, Coach. We look at the box score. We see the final score in week one, Bedford 48, Merrimack 20. It seems like basically your team picked up where they left off in dominating fashion last year after going undefeated in the regular season. Your takeaways, Coach, before we get into Nashua South, your takeaway on that big 4-touchdown win over Merrimack. What went well, and what are you hoping to improve upon?
Well, I mean, I always say to our kids and our coaches that typically week one matchups, I feel like, a lot of times nobody wins it, somebody loses it for themselves. So, going into week one, you just worry about a lot of those unforced errors, people not taking care of the ball. And so what I would say is I was pleased with our ball security. I think we did a nice job with that. We definitely need to work on some things as far as our execution is concerned. But I think every coach is going to say that this time of year, you're not hitting on all cylinders, even though you're putting points on the scoreboard and things are good. This is really still an extension of the preseason for a lot of these kids. So, and more so I'm speaking about our new starters, right? You've got kids who've been there before, who've done this before, but for some kids, that was their first varsity game last week. And so when you talk about playing your first varsity game, there's managing a lot of emotions, there's managing the environment. And, so really you're just hoping to settle the kids in. But, we're lucky that we return, some kids who played a hell of a lot of football for us. We returned 4 or 5 linemen from last year up front, obviously returning, Brody Helton in the backfield, having Bennett in the backfield. Those are kids who have played a lot of football and they're used to playing in some big games. And so I thought definitely our run game looked really good last week. The offensive line, I thought we dominated the line of scrimmage, which is what high school football is all about. Now we got to work on some of the finer details. I would like to see our tackling get a little bit better. I'd like to see us avoid some of those penalties. And so, you're just cleaning things up throughout the week. And, every week brings a new challenge. And this one certainly brings, a couple more.
Want to talk a little bit about your son, Bennett, the senior quarterback this season. What dynamic does he add to that position versus the signal callers that you had play QB the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll take people very long when they watch our film to see some of the differences. And what I mean is we've been really lucky to have great quarterback play. And we work really hard at that, right? We really do work hard with our quarterbacks in the offseason and during the regular season, starting with Joe Michael and Danny Black and Jack May. We've had really good people behind center. None of those guys really, I would say, were, running quarterbacks, guys who could really, who I felt comfortable with, kind of putting in the run game the way that we can use Bennett. And that's also a testament to the depth at our quarterback position right now because, we've got a really good junior quarterback that's behind Bennett named Parker Boschman, and he's another kid who can really use his legs well. So we feel good really about the 2 quarterbacks in our program right now, and that allows us to be able to do some more quarterback run scheme, I think, that people haven't seen from us, in the last 6 years that I've been the coach here. We just haven't had the quarterback depth, and we haven't necessarily had that skill set. So I definitely think Bennett brings that element. Now people are going to have to, if you are going to play us with man coverage, you have to be ready for quarterback run game. And that's been the way, to be honest, that people beat us. Pinkerton last year, credit to them. They took it to us in that semifinal round. They loaded the box. They played man coverage, and, they made Brody's life really difficult. And I think that, we're just going to have to continue to get better. But, his legs and his arm talent, but, his legs specifically, that gives us a different element in the offense that we haven't had in years past.
Steve?
One of the things I saw, I've talked about this a couple of times, Coach. By the way, great to see you, and congratulations on last week's win. Watched the whole game, and there were a couple things I agree to clean up, but boy, I thought they looked really. I thought there was a lot of good stuff going on out there that I saw that looks like an extremely solid football team. So congratulations for that this early. As far as I'm going to talk about Bennett first. One of the things that I didn't realize that Bennett had, I'm not surprised because I've seen him on the lacrosse field and in athletics in general, was his movement in the pocket that I saw after the first possession in the jamboree and pretty much all through the game. His lateral movement, his side-to-side movement. I've always known he's been a great runner, He's got the eye for it. He's got the instincts for it. And I thought he drops back. It's always dropped back really well when I have seen him play. But his movement in the pocket, reading the pocket, has really improved this year. Your thoughts on that? Do you see the same thing? Because that to me is a huge dimension if you're going to be a complete quarterback. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's done a nice job with that. And to be honest, this has been something he's been building towards, that we've been building towards in a program. I think, a lot of people don't know this, but last year, like Jack May had the flu and couldn't play against Keene. And so Bennett played quarterback against Keene last year. Not a whole lot of people are traveling out to Keene to see those games. So I think that kind of flew under the radar, right? But, Bennett was our backup quarterback all of last year. So when he wasn't playing receiver with the ones, he was getting quarterback reps with the twos. And, before that, he was our freshman quarterback. He's been the quarterback for this age group since these guys were little, since we moved to Bedford. And so, he spends a lot of time playing lacrosse. Obviously, that's evident all summer long. And so I think that's the other piece, though, that quarterback has always been something that he's loved to do. It just hasn't been the right timing within our program, and with the talent that we have in our program, it just hasn't been the right time. But this is always something he's been working towards, and he's been, excited about. He's been excited about this opportunity to lead this team and to play the position that he loves. And so, I'm pleased where we're at right now. But that being said, I know he'd be the first person to tell you 5 things right now that he needs to improve on and that we're working at. And that's probably a byproduct of being a coach's son. And, you don't necessarily always look at, hey, this is everything we're doing well, but these are the things we need to do better. And so I think that that's also something how he approaches it. But yeah, I'm pleased with where we're at right now, but, he's not a finished product. Neither is our offensive team. We're still working together to get better every day.
Excellent. Let's talk about the offensive line a little bit. Connor Flaherty, obviously, just a really fun guy. As you know, I love to watch the offensive line work tactically. He's got all the goods, and he just showed to me in the Jamboree and against Merrimack of why he is what he is. Talk to me about a couple of guys that I can watch tomorrow night, because I love to do it. Who would you advise me to look at tomorrow night to say, hey, this guy's stepping up? It isn't just about Connor Flaherty, which we know. Give me a couple of guys to take a look at and key on tomorrow night on that offensive line, because I think that's going to be a big part of the game.
I don't want to discredit Connor here at all, because I'm going to give him his due here, because he deserves that. But Connor is a very special player, obviously, and there's a lot of colleges looking to have him come there and play offensive line. So Connor, as far as a pass protector, I haven't had anybody that's as good as he is. As far as his physical skill set and his physicality, I think that's something that's pretty evident, and he's still growing and evolving. He's somebody who's very young, for a senior. Behind him, I think the guy that most often gets overlooked for us is number 58, Brennan Krause. And, Brennan has started since he was a sophomore here. Brennan's a quiet kid. He's not as big as Connor is. And I think that Connor a lot of times has had the spotlight, but if you watch Brennan on film, you watch the game last week, he's a kid who blocks whistle to whistle. He's 6'2", 6'3", 235. He doesn't have that huge size, but he plays defensive end for us. And as he plays the tackle on the other side, he started the same amount of years as Connor has. And he's a senior captain for us, just like Connor is. And both of those two guys are anchoring what we're doing. One plays left tackle, one plays right tackle, And then you mix in those other pieces. We're returning both guards this year. So Alex Bissonette is another senior offensive lineman, number 51, who plays guard for us. Done a really nice job. Again, not the biggest guy. We're talking a 210-pound kid, 215-pound kid, just like our other guard, Braden Calkins, but, scrappy, tough, battle whistle to whistle, do a nice job pulling and kicking out on our counter plays. Their athleticism is what I really love about those guys. For me, for us up front, and I'm a person who, as a quarterback, ex-quarterback, I appreciate offensive linemen. For the first part of my coaching career, I always coached the offensive linemen myself, because that's where it all begins and ends. And if we can't get our act together on the offensive line, we're not going to have any offensive success. So, I appreciate those guys for what they bring to the table. Those are the 4 guys. I mentioned Braden Calkins. Those are the 4 guys who started for us last year. And then you mix in Matt Ben at center, who started for us in the defensive line last year. And has good size as well, but he was a guy who was like the next guy in on the offensive line. So, we feel great about that group. Like I said, 58, Brennan Krause is the guy probably that most people overlook, because Connor gets a lot of the notoriety. as he should, but Brennan deserves some of that shine as well. And then the other three pieces there are just guys who show up every single day, lunch pail guys who do a lot of the hard work. They don't have the flashy highlights necessarily, but they're the guys who are, doing the dirty work in the trenches to create those seams for what Brody likes to do so well.
One of the things about Brody Helton is the vision that he has. He reads blocking ahead of the time, and he understands blocking for flow before it even happens. So some of that's familiarity, some of it's just an unbelievable sense that he has to do that. When you look tomorrow, let's just say they spend resources on Brody Helton, a whole bunch of resources on Brody Helton to try to cut him down to under 75, 80 yards. Let's just say that's happening in the game. Again, not giving any of your secrets or anything like that, or giving up a full game plan, but where do you feel that your team, has an opportunity to succeed on offense if they're going to dump all kinds of defensive resources on Brody?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that, and this is pretty clear, and Steve, what I would say is this has been the case since I've had Brody for 2 years. People have all been trying to do the same thing. So we are not I'm serious. Like, we are not strangers to the game
I know.
plan. Like, everybody who puts on the film, you're going to load the box and you're going to try to take away the Helton kid, right? And so there's a lot of great coaches who do that. And so, obviously when it comes to Brody's success, if people are going to gear up on him, then that means we're going to have to make some plays in the passing game. And that obviously means that, other people are going to have to get involved with their legs, whether that's Bennett, whether that's Bryson Durso, one of our slot receivers. If they're keying on Brody, it's going to open up other pieces of our offense. And so that's one thing I really work on as a play caller. We work on as an offensive staff is, having the answers, trying to prepare the answers before the test so that when you do this, our part of our game plan is we're expecting you to do some of those things. And this opens up another play in our playbook that hopefully we can execute. It's just whether or not we can execute those things. Like we tried to do that last year against Pinkerton. And to be honest, they were better than us in the semifinals and we couldn't execute those items. And that's why they won the game. And that's what happens sometimes. But yeah, getting quickly back to your question, if they're going to gang up on Brody and take things away, we're going to make some plays in the passing game. We're going to get the quarterback run game involved. We're going to get the wide receiver run game involved, and we're going to have to use other people. And I do think our supporting cast this year is ready for that moment.
Solid. Yeah, they're solid. They're solid. Nick, back to you. Coach, best of luck tomorrow night. Just thank you and your staff. And I say the same thing for Coach Porter. It's so much fun for us to go and do these games when you're going to have a matchup like this one. I can't tell you enough. And the work that you guys put in is incredible. So thank you. And both programs, we were able to talk to Mr. Coach Porter, but both programs obviously have come prepared this year. And I just, whoever wins, it's going to be a big win. But just thanks again for putting together a quality program with a bunch of great guys. This is what high school football is all about. And I talked about it with going down to beat Malden Catholic. How about that? That just says so much about our coaches and our programs in the state. So of which you and the Bedford Bulldogs are right up front there with. So thanks again. Look forward to a good best of luck, and I'll leave it at that. Nick?
Exactly. You stole my thunder, Steve. We appreciate it as usual, Coach. Good luck tomorrow night, and good luck moving forward. We'll talk again soon.
What a game.
Yeah, thank you, guys. As usual, always fun talking ball with you guys. Not to make this too long of a conversation, but, thank you for what you guys do. I know our kids get excited about your coverage. I know our parents, our community members get excited about your coverage. What you guys do kind of showcases what these kids work so hard for. And for a little snippet of a Friday night or, a show like this, it makes them feel like, they're a professional athlete. And so, seeing themselves on TV and being able to listen to people talk about them. I love getting to see the kids' reaction. I love getting to see the parents' reaction. So, respect goes both ways. So certainly appreciate it. Yeah. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
Looking forward to it, Coach. Thank you.
You bet.
We appreciate that.
Thanks, Coach.
That's Zack Matthews, longtime Bedford head coach, a class act, joining us here on FNL Gridiron. Steve, we're on the air. Final reminder, tomorrow at 6:15 is our pregame. 6:30 is the kickoff. Bedford at Nashua South in our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire Game of the Week, presented by Beals Insurance. Want to thank Tom King of the Nashua Telegraph and ETV for joining us tonight. Always fun catching up with him. Good stuff there at the tail end with Coach Zack Matthews of Bedford. And unfortunately, unable to speak with Nashua South head coach Josh Porter tonight. But we will get to him down the road again. Want to thank the sponsors, Beals Insurance, MG Sports Fundraising, Jewett Construction, Accurate Tree Service, and TKQB Academy for the continued and ongoing support. For the man behind the curtain, our director, Ben Beals, back in the Beals Insurance Studios. And for my partner, Steve Beals, I'm Nick Anastas saying so long. This has been FNL Gridiron presented by Beals Insurance here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire.